Welcome to Behind the Screen, a podcast on something over 3 million of us use every day, social media. I'm your host, Carolyn Hoover.
YouTube, Twitter, Facebook too. I feel I'm getting closer to you. We used to be strangers, but now that's not true because
Hi everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's Behind the Screen. Today's episode is titled Too Cruel for School, as we'll be chatting with a sophomore from East Brunswick High School, Emma Corinne, to discuss the positive and negative social media effects on high school students. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Of course, I'm happy to be here.
Being that literally no other generation has grown up with social media, it's going to be very interesting to see these effects that it's going to have on Generation Z. Undoubtedly, social media usage has increased substantially over the past few years. According to the Orlando Sentinel, usage has increased from 34% in 2012 to a whopping 70% of teens using social media multiple times a day. And even more shockingly, the Pew Research Center has published research in 2014 and 2015 that said 95% of teens report having a smartphone. And 45% of those teens say they're online almost constantly. And yet, even with that constant usage, only 24% of those teenagers describe their social media effects as mostly negative, and 45% say that it's been neither positive nor negative. Does that last statistic shock you, Emma, that only 24% of teenagers describe the effects of social media as negative?
That definitely shocks me because I've had my fair share of really negative experiences. I've also had many positive ones too, but I feel like most teenagers probably weren't truthful when taking that poll. People can be cruel behind a screen.
Yeah, I try to be nice, but some people are just mean. Sometimes it seems like the whole world is still in high school. Some people never change, or do they? Hey! Get away, leave me alone. Get away, leave me alone. Oh, get away, leave me alone. You're just a mean girl. Get away, leave me alone. Get away, leave me alone. Get away, leave me alone. You're just a mean girl. Friendly shot type all around girl. Not caught up with the hot crowd.
I know we discussed this off camera so I could gain a bit more background knowledge on your personal experiences with social media, but do you think that you could elaborate on the time in which you're being kind of harassed and bullied via social media?
Yeah, of course. People tend to say things they cannot say to you in person, to your face, because they think it won't get back to you and you won't react to it by talking to them. They kind of expect you to hear about it and move on. They can also say some really cruel things, call you mean names, or even threaten you, or even just spread rumors and twist your words. Those things resulted in me being harassed and cyberbullied via Snapchat and Instagram, and ultimately it resulted in physical assault.
Now, those events took place over a year ago, correct? So do you feel that those events have affected you and still affect you today?
I want to say yes and no. I feel that I've grown from my experiences, but at the same time, it's really difficult to get over the hurtful things that people say about you. And people are so brave behind a screen, but when they see you in person, many times they'll stay silent because it's the easiest option.
The Center for Disease Control and Prevention has found that the suicide rate among teen girls has nearly doubled between 2007 and 2015. A lot of people are linking that to the high usage of social media and cell phones, even nicknaming Gen Z as screenagers. You've obviously had negative effects from social media, but do you think that this is a legitimate claim to say that social media has caused this increase in suicide and self-harm among teen girls?
There's a difference between guys and girls, because girls get very judgmental around this age, and social media is a place where they can spread those hurtful judgments about you. It just makes everything harder today because girls don't get along as well because they say things on social media to just fit in with their friends. Unfortunately, I think there is definitely a connection because, as I said before, people are really brave from behind a screen and aren't afraid to hurt someone's feelings. The words that people say can really impact a person, especially an immature girl who is already facing her biggest insecurities.
So, to kind of go in a more positive direction, as I stated earlier, Pew Research Center found that 31% of teenagers say that their experiences with social media were positive. Having grown up with social media from a young age, what are some positives that you can say about social media?
It's definitely a place where we can all express ourselves and stay connected with friends. Plus, being complimented on photos and things makes me feel good about myself and really boosts my confidence. It's fun to go on when I'm bored, and it's constantly at my disposal. I can access it practically at any time.
Can you guys help me pick a filter? I don't know if I should go with XX Pro or Valencia. I want to look tan. What should my caption be? I want it to be clever. How about living with my bitches, #live. I only got 10 likes in the last 5 minutes. Do you think I should take it down? Let me take another selfie.
Now, I know that East Brunswick High School has been trying to increase their technology usage within the classroom, which is fantastic, but have they been incorporating social media at all in the classrooms as well?
They definitely incorporated some. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos in class, and my Spanish teacher has us write like fake tweets and Instagram posts in Spanish for practice.
Do you think that your high school should put more of an emphasis on using social media correctly from an educational standpoint, such as how to use it to further one's education and use it as a tool rather than as a weapon?
No, I personally think that they incorporated enough. If anything, I think they've tried to lessen it because they block Snapchat on the Wi-Fi.
You've made some really good points, so thank you very much for joining us today on Behind the Screen. Knowing that social media can personally affect people is something that many of us forget, and this was a very important reminder.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad I could help provide some perspective.
On our next episode of Behind the Screen, we'll be sitting down to discuss how social media can affect a career, both positively and negatively, with someone who's had years of experience. If you have any questions for our show, feel free to send us a snap, tweet us, or leave a comment below, and we'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks for joining us here behind the screen.